Shalom, my brothers and sisters in Yahweh Elohim, and welcome to our midweek Bible study. I hope everybody's having a good week. Hey, short week. Yeah, we got a short week this week because man decided to have a holiday. That's alright, I guess. I hope everybody had a great Shabbat. Hope it went well for everybody. Yeah, we went and enjoyed our Shabbat up in the hills with all my grandchildren, and we got attacked by all the mosquito or little gnats and stuff like that. I am bit to pieces. Talk about ruining your shalom. Whoa, they were swarming us. But it was a beautiful day, and we enjoyed the company that we had together and the fellowship, and enjoyed being around the little ones. It was a good day. All right, gang. Well, we are going to continue our travel through Shemu'el Bet. And tonight we're going to be going over chapter 16, 17, and 18. So grab your Bible and we'll get started tonight, okay? All right. Get comfy. This is going to be quite a ride tonight. We are going to see some crazy things. A little bit of water, wet the whistle. All right, gang, everybody comfy? Got your favorite pillow? I hope you have your Bible, because I pray that you are reading along with me and not just subcontracting out your faith to me, because I'm just a man. I'm just like you are, and this is about Yah. This is His Word, and I'm just reading it to you. So if you're reading along with me, that way you're reading it also, and you're seeing it with your eyes as well as hearing it with your ears, and we're all learning together. Okay? All right, gang, let's get started tonight. Shemu'el Bet, chapter 16. And David had passed on a little from the summit, and saw Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, who met him with a couple of saddled donkeys, and on them 200 loaves, and 100 cakes of raisins, and 100 summered fruit, and a skin of wine. And the sovereign said to Ziba, Why do you have these? And Ziba said, The donkeys are for the sovereign's household to ride on, and the bread and the summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine for the wearied to drink in the wilderness. And the sovereign said, And where is the son of your master? And Ziba said to the sovereign, See, he remains in Jerusalem. For he said, Today the house of Yasharel is going to return the reign of my father to me. So David is asking him, where is my son? Where's Absalom? And he's telling him what's going on in Jerusalem. Verse 4. And the sovereign said to Ziba, See, all that belongs to Mephibosheth is yours. And Ziba said, I have bowed myself. Let me find favor in your eyes, my master, O sovereign. So he's still showing loyalty to David. Verse 5, And when the sovereign David came to Barim, he saw a man from the clan of the house of Shaul, whose name was Shimei, son of Gerah. Coming from there, he came out, cursing as he came. And he threw David with stones, and all the servants of sovereign David, and all the people and all the mighty men were on his right and on his left. So this guy came out and started chucking rocks at David. He's part of Shaul's family, and he's still a little bit bitter about everything. He's cursing and chucking rocks at David, and all the mighty men closed ranks around David when that happened. Verse 7, And this is what Shimei said as he cursed, Get out, O man of blood and man of Belial. Yahuwah has brought upon you all the blood of the house of Shaul, in whose place you have reigned, and Yahuwah has given the reign into the hand of Absalom your son. And see, you are in your own evil, for you are a man of blood. And Abishai, son of Serah, said to the sovereign, Why should this dead dog curse my master the sovereign? Please, let me pass over and take off his head. And the sovereign said, What have I to do with you, you son of Serah? For let him curse, even because Yahuwah has said to him, Curse David. And who should say, Why did you do that? And David said to Abishai and all his servants, See how my son, who came from my own body, seeks my life, and how much more now this Benjamite. So he's like, this is just a whole bad scene. Not only does my son Absalom seek to kill me, but now so does this Benjamite. Ugh. Leave him alone, and let him curse, for Yahuwah has spoken to him. If so be, Yahuwah does look on my affliction, and Yahuwah shall return good to me for his cursing today. And as David and his men went in the way, Shimei walked alongside him on the hillside, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and kicked up dust. And the sovereign and all the people who were with him became weary, and they refreshed themselves there. And Absalom and all the people, the men of Yasharel, came to Yasharelim, and Ahithophel was with him. And it came to be, when Hushai, the Archite, the friend of David, had come to Absalom, that Hushai said to Absalom, Let the sovereign live, let the sovereign live. And Absalom said to Hushai, Is this your loving commitment to your friend? Why did you not go with your friend? So Absalom is grilling him, saying, Why are you here? You're my father's friend. What are you doing here? Verse 18. And Hushai said to Absalom, No, I am for the one whom Yahuwah and this people and all the men of Yasharel have chosen, and with him I remain. So he's telling a righteous lie, that he's there because he is now accepting Absalom as the sovereign. Yeah, a little bit of a deception going on there. But, it's all because Yahuwah has this all set up. Remember? Think about all this. It's all been set up by Yahuwah. Verse 18. And Hushai said to Absalom, Verse 19. And beside, whom should I serve? Should it not be before his son? As I have served before your father, so I am before you. So see, there's a little bit of a white lie going on there. Verse 20. And Absalom said to Ahithophel, Give your advice. What should we do? And Ahithophel said to Absalom, Go in to your father's concubines, whom he has left to look after the house, and all Yasharel shall hear that you have made yourself a stench to your father, and the hands of all who are with you shall be strong. Now remember, this is all part of a curse that happened back in Shemu'el Bet 12:11. If you go back and you read chapter 12, verse 11, then you'll understand how this curse is now being fulfilled. The curse between Bathsheba and David. Yeah, that's a bad deal. Alright, let's continue on. Verse 22. So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the top of the house, and Absalom went in to his father's concubines before the eyes of all Yasharel. Now the advice Ahithophel gave in those days was as if one had inquired at the word of Elohim. So was all the advice of Ahithophel, both to David and to Absalom, because of the fact that it's a curse that's going on for the sins of the flesh. So you can see what's going on here is that Yahuwah is working through Ahithophel to give advice to everyone who is involved in this curse. Chapter 17. And Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Please let me choose 12,000 men, and let me arise and pursue David tonight, and come upon him while he is weary and weak, and I shall make him afraid, and all the people who are with him shall flee, and I shall strike the sovereign alone." So Ahithophel is saying to Absalom he's going to take 12,000 soldiers and sneak up on David and all the people and kill David and all the people they're going to leave alone. Verse 3, "And bring back all the people to you. When all return except the man whom you seek, all the people shall be at peace." He's telling Absalom that everything's going to be okay if they just kill David. Verse 4, "And the saying pleased Absalom and all the elders of Yasharel. But Absalom said, Now call Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear what he says too. And Hushai came to Absalom, and Absalom spoke to him, saying, Ahithophel has spoken according to this word. Should we do as he says? If not, speak up. And Hushai said to Absalom, the advice that Ahithophel has given is not good at this time. And Hushai said, You know your father and his men, that they are mighty men, and they are as bitter in being as a bear robbed of her cubs in the field. And your father is a man of battle, and would not spend the night with the people. See, by now he is hidden in some pit, or in some place, and it shall be, when some of them fall at the first, that whoever hears it shall say, There has been a slaughter among the people who are following Absalom. So Hushai is saying, it's probably not a good idea to go straight on with David, because David's a pretty bad guy, and all of his guys are all men of fierce battle. So going straight on with him would probably end up being a bad slaughter. It probably wouldn't be a good idea. And then they're going to come back and they're going to tell all of Yasharel, Absalom, his whole army got slaughtered by David. Yeah, it's not going to look very good, is it? Verse 10, And even he who is brave, whose heart is like the heart of a lion, would utterly melt before all Yasharel knows that your father is a mighty man, and those who are with him are brave men. But I advise, let all Yasharel without fail be gathered to you, from Dan to Beersheba, as numerous as the sand by the sea, and that you yourself go to battle. So, don't just send Ahithophel. You yourself need to go and take care of this problem. So he's sending Absalom too. Verse 12, And we shall come upon him in some place where he is found, and fall on him as the dew falls on the ground, and there shall be left of him, and of all his men with him, not even one. So Hushai is saying, let's do this a different way, Absalom. You go after him with all the men of Yasharel, all the tribes of Yasharel, because it's going to take that many guys. You guys go in there and kill everybody. Yeah, let's see if that's such a good idea. You got to remember, this is a spy network that's going on inside Jerusalem. There's a spy network going on that David has set up, and Hushai is one of his spies. So it's interesting to see how this is progressing and how it's twisting because of the spy network. Verse 13, and if he withdraws into a city, then all Yasharel shall bring ropes to that city, and we shall put it into the wadi, until there is not one small stone found there. So he's bringing witness of this battle. Every fighting man in Yasharel is being brought to this battle to be a witness. Yeah, they're going to fight, but they're also going to bear witness to what happens. So there's not going to be any questions among the people, of Yasharel about what happened here. There's not going to be any gossip or nothing like that. Verse 14, Absalom and all the men of Yasharel then said, the advice of Hushai the Archite is better than the advice of Ahithophel, for Yahuwah has ordained to nullify the good advice of Ahithophel, for the sake of Yahuwah, bringing evil upon Absalom. So they all took Hushai's advice and said, Ahithophel, no, you're planning on bringing devastation to Absalom. Verse 15, Hushai then said to Tzadok and to Abiathar the priests, the rest of the spy network, Ahithophel has advised Absalom and the elders of Yasharel such and such, but I advised so and so. So he's giving them a sit rep. Okay? He's got the spy network together and he's giving them a sit rep of what's going on here. Verse 16, and now send hastily and inform David, saying, do not spend this night in the desert plains of the wilderness, but pass over without fail, lest the sovereign and all the people with him be swallowed up. And Jonathan and Ahimaaz were stationed at En-Rogel, and a female servant would come and inform them, and they would go and inform sovereign David, for they could not be seen entering the city. So now they're passing the information on and getting it out of the city to David. Verse 18. Hang on a second. Okay. Verse 18. But a youth saw them and informed Absalom. So the two of them went away at once and came to a man's house in Baal-rim, who had a well in his courtyard, and they went down into it. And the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth, and spread ground grain on it, so the matter was not known. So she covered up the well with a sheet and put a bunch of grain on it like she was sifting grain. Okay? Covered over the top of the well. Verse 20, and the servants of Absalom came to the woman at the house and said, where are Ahimaaz and Jonathan? And the woman said to them, they have passed over the stream of water. And they looked and did not find them, and returned to Jerusalem. So she had a little white lie there too, and she told them that they just passed over the water. So they went chasing after him. Verse 21, and it came to be, after they had left, that they came up out of the well, and went and informed sovereign David, and said to David, arise, and pass over the water quickly, for thus Ahithophel has advised against you. And David and all the people who were with him rose up and passed over the Jordan, and by morning light not even one remained who had not gone over the Jordan. And Ahithophel saw that his advice was not followed. So he saddled his donkey and rose up and went home to his house, to his city. Then he gave command to his house and hanged himself and died. And he was buried in his father's burial site. So, he realized that his advice wasn't going to cut it in the court, so he went home and killed himself. Jeez. The traitor killing himself? That sounds a little familiar. And he hung himself. That sounds even more familiar, doesn't it? Sure does. Verse 24. And David came to Mahanaim, and Absalom passed over the Jordan, he and all the men of Yasharel with him. And Absalom appointed Amasa over the army instead of Joab. Now Amasa was the son of a man whose name was Yithra, a Yeshraeli, who had gone in to Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister of Zeruiah, Joab's mother. Interesting, huh? There's kind of a little connection there, isn't there? Verse 26, and Yasharel and Absalom encamped in the land of Gilead. And it came to be, when David had come to Mahanaim, that Shobai, son of Nahash, from Rabbah, of the children of Ammon, and Machir, son of Amiel, from Lodebar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite, from Rogelim, brought beds and basins and earthen vessels and wheat and barley and flour and roasted grain and beans and lentils and parched vegetables and honey and curds and sheep and cheese of the herd for David and the people who were with him to eat. For they said, the people are hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. So he's got people that are bringing them supplies to try to help them out. There's a respect of these people that are helping David. They're bringing him supplies, they're feeding the people. Everybody's bringing something out to try to help David and the people. Okay? Verse 18. And David mustered the people who were with him, and set commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds over them. And David sent out 1/3 of the people under the hand of Joab, and 1/3 of the people and 1/3 under the hand of Abishai, son of Sisera, Joab's brother, and 1/3 under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. And the sovereign said to the people, I shall certainly go out with you too. So David's ready to go fight too. He's like, come on, let's go and take care of this problem. I'm going with you. Verse 3, but the people answered, do not go out, for if we flee away, they will not set heart upon us. Even if half of us die, they would not set heart upon us. For now 10,000 are like us. Therefore, it is better for you to support us from the city. If you go out with us, they're going to slaughter. If things go bad, if things go south, they're going to slaughter everybody just because you're there. But if you're not there, then maybe because we're all brothers, we're all children of Yasharel, maybe they'll cut everybody some slack and just let everybody go. So it's probably better if you don't go along. Verse 4, and the sovereign said to them, that which is good in your eyes, I do. And the sovereign stood beside the gate, and all the people went out by hundreds and by thousands. And the sovereign ordered Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, be gentle with the young man Absalom for my sake. So, if you can capture him and bring him home, do that. Just be gentle with him. And all the people heard when the sovereign gave all the commanders orders concerning Absalom. So the people went out into the field to meet Yasharel, and the battle was in the forest of Ephraim. And the people of Yasharel were smitten there before the servants of David, and the slaughter there that day was great, 20,000. And the battle there was scattered over the face of all the land, and the forest devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. People ended up all over the place in the forest, and Yeah, there's people getting killed and dying all over in the forest, lost, injured, all kinds of stuff going on there. Verse 9, and when Absalom met the servants of David, Absalom was riding on a mule, and the mule went under the thick branches of a great terebinth tree, and his head caught hold in the terebinth, and he was suspended between the heavens and the earth, while the mule which was under him passed on. So he's got all that hair on his head. Remember, once a year he cuts his hair and takes 5 pounds of hair off? Yeah, he's got a ton of hair. So as he passed under the terebinth tree, the terebinth branches got caught up in his hair and pulled him up off the mule, and he's dangling there. Dangling in the air. And the mule took off. Verse 10, and a certain man saw it, and informed Joab, and said, look, I saw Absalom hanging in a terebinth tree. And Joab said to the man who informed him, now look, you saw, and why did you not strike him to the earth there? Then I would have given you 10 pieces of silver and a belt. But the man answered Joab, though I were to receive 1,000 pieces of silver in my hand, I would not raise my hand against the son of the sovereign, because in our hearing the sovereign commanded you, and Abishai, and Ittai, saying, take heed, you who go against the youth, against Absalom. Otherwise I would have been untrue to my own life, for no matter is hidden from the sovereign, and you yourself would have set yourself against me. And Joab said, let me not waste time here with you. And he took 3 spears in his hand, and thrust them through Absalom's heart, while he was still alive in the midst of the terebinth tree. And 10 young men who bore Joab's armor went around, and struck Absalom, and put him to death. So Joab threw 3 spears through his heart, and then 10 of his armor bearers went and finished the job, chopped him up. Verse 16, and Joab blew with the shofar, and the people returned from pursuing Yasharel, for Joab had held the people back. And they took Absalom, and threw him into a large pit in the forest, and heaped a very large pile of stones over him. And all Yasharel fled, each one to his tent. And Absalom in his lifetime had taken and set up a monument for himself, which is in the sovereign's valley. For he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the monument after his own name. And to this day it is called Absalom's monument. And Ahimaaz, son of Tzadok, said, please let me run and take the news to the sovereign, for Yahuwah has avenged him of his enemies. But Joab said to him, you are not the man to take the news today, but you shall take the news another day. But today you do not take news, because the sovereign's son is dead. And Joab said to the Cushite, go, inform the sovereign of what you have seen. And the Cushite bowed himself to Joab and ran. So Joab appointed another dude to go tell the king of what happened in the battle. And Ahimaaz, son of Tzadok, said again to Joab, and whatever might be, please let me also run after the Cushite. And Joab said, why would you run, my son? There is no news to bring you reward. And whatever might be, he said, let me run. So he said to him, run. And Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain, and passed the Cushite. So he went flying by the Cushite. Verse 24, now David was sitting between the 2 gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate, to the wall, and lifted his eyes and looked, and saw a man running alone. So the watchman called out, and told the sovereign, and the sovereign said, if he is alone, there is news in his mouth. And he came nearer and nearer. And the watchman saw another man running. And the watchman called out to the gatekeeper and said, see, a man running by himself. And the sovereign said, this one is also bringing news. And the watchman said, I see the running of the first is like the running of Amiaat's son of Tisdok. And the sovereign said, this is a good man, and he comes with good news. And Ahimaaz called out and said to the sovereign, peace. Then he bowed down with his face to the earth before the sovereign and said, blessed be Yahweh, your Elohim, who has surrendered the men who raised their hand against my master the sovereign. And the sovereign said, peace to the young man, to Absalom. And Ahimaaz answered, when Joab sent the sovereign's servant and me, your servant, I saw a great crowd, but I did not know why. And the sovereign said, turn aside and stand here. And he turned aside and stood still. And see, the Cushite came, and the Cushite said, receive news, my master the sovereign, for Yahuwah has avenged you this day of all those who rose against you. And the sovereign said to the Cushite, peace to the young man, to Absalom. And the Cushite answered, let the enemies of my master the sovereign, and all who rise against you for evil, be as that young man is. So he spilled the beans and told them they're all dead. Verse 33, and the sovereign was shaken, and went up to the room over the gate, and wept. And he went, and as he went, he said this, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you, O Absalom, my son. Because David realizes that this is part of that curse, that he caused all of this because of the sins of the flesh. So now he's heartbroken over his son Absalom because of this curse. And that's the end of chapter 18. Well, gang, there is definitely a lot of action going on there. There is so many things happening there, and it's like step by step we're being explained to about what's happening at each turn. I mean, we're getting a play-by-play here, where it's like we're watching this happen in real life, and we're getting a play-by-play. This is pretty intense stuff. Do you see how the sins of the flesh caused this? Because David didn't... He allowed his feelings and his lust do this. And because of this, his son Absalom paid the price. Definitely some lessons to be taken there, isn't there? No doubt. Alright, gang. That's all I've got for tonight. I pray that you got something out of the study. I pray that it was good for you, fruitful for you. And thank you for joining me for the study. Thank you for continuing to join me through the studies. And for all of those who are seeking knowledge and wisdom of Yahuwah Elohim, Baruch you, and your families. Praise Yahuwah. Hallelujah, Yahuwah. Praise Yah. And praise Yah for bringing us together. Please, teach your children. Alright, gang. That's all I got. And I will see you on Shabbat. Alright? Enjoy the rest of your week. Only got a couple of days left. And then we can find some peace. Alright? Alright. Shalom.